Welcome and thank you everybody for coming. I'm going to go over the VDOT Provisional BMD Specification for 2022. I'm Candace Entwistle with VDOT Central Office Materials. So we're going to go over the materials that we use in our mix designs. We're going to go over the type of job mix formula and the backup documentation and tests that you'll be needing. We'll go over production testing, acceptance, and our initial production, and then again, everyone's favorite, measurements and payment. So this year we're still going with our section 211 specification. The materials needs to be approved and on our approved list. It can also be on our SPEL list, which is our special product evaluation list. You can get that through central office. This year we are not doing our recycled asphalt shingles, RAS, in our balance mix designs. So with our job mix formulas for 2022, we are still going with our SM95A and our 95D, and then we're also doing our SM12.5A and 12.5D. So this year we are calling it Performance Volumetric Optimized, so BMD P plus VO criteria, and that is listed in the special provision, and we'll go over that. All of our mixes still need to meet our nominal maximum aggregate size for your 9.5 and your 12.5. We are doing RAP, but we're still doing our normal allowance of only 30%. If a contractor wants to use a binder that is not currently on 211, like a 5822, it must be approved by your district engineer. So in addition, we have with our performance plus volumetric optimization, it will be designed to the 211 specifications and meet the criteria in Table 1 of the special provision. You can see with the gradation bands have changed a little bit to help with some of your design ranges and to help get us closer to that balancing performance that we are optimally going for. So this year with the optimization part, we are expanding our design range for the voids. You can design at 3% up to 4.5%. So instead of just with our super pave, when you design at 4%, you are now allowed to go from 3% to 4%. And as long as you work into that also gradation range, it should give you guys a lot more options and room to try a lot more stuff with our performance testing. In addition to, we have another chart that is based off of our specific gravity of the total aggregate. That'll let you know what your minimum AC content design can be for your mixes. Please make sure you look at your 9.5 or your 12.5 column so you don't get those mixed up, but please make sure you look at those and pay specific attention to your gravities. You might need to mix and match some different stones this time. Especially if you want to lower your AC content or if you need to get it in between a certain void range, you have more properties you can work and wiggle around with. So when you're submitting your design, it will still have to meet the super pave. You'll still have to do your AC content at design range. You'll have to do your 0.5% below and your 0.5% above and your whole percent above. But for the balance mix design portion of it, you have to do an APA RUT test where you'll do it at design range, AC content range, and 5% above. I'm sorry, 0.5% above. Your Cantabro, you'll do it at design, AC design, and 0.5% below. With your CT, a lot of work with this one, it's critical. So you have to do it at your design, 0.5% above and 0.5% below. In addition, you have to do your long-term aging, where you age your loose mix for 8 hours at 135. Then you would compact your CT pills and follow that ASTM 8225, where you condition them for 2 hours, and then you would break them. So in addition, this is what will go on your cover page, is your single percentage of aggregate passing the required sieves, so your spec sieves, your single percentage of liquid, so your AC content design. Now the ranges for the super paved volumetrics, everyone has already been doing that. It's required for the 211. And then your temperature mix of your temperature of your mix for production usually is based on your manufacturer's specification of the liquid in the binder that you're using. With this, you would need to put it into mits and plaids up to all of your super pave design stuff that you would for your regular mixes. In addition, you would have to have those test results sent into your district. We are still working on getting the application for mits and plaids so that you'd be able to put all your information for your BMD into that, but that is coming soon. Okay, so for your production testing QC, so the contractor, our lots are 4,000. There's no wiggle room. That's just like our super pave. It's 4,000. The contractor will be required to do the QC testing, and the results will need to be in 1 week. Usually for our super pave, we'll do 24 hours, but with our BMD and the extra testing requirements needed, we would like to do 1 week if you can get your results in. Our acceptance testing is still the same. You will do it every stratified random, 500 tons. You'll pull your grade A, your IA, your AC, and your gradation content. Your AC content and your gradation. And then for your performance testing, you'll pull it every 2,000 tons. You'll do your 5 IDTCT pills and your 3 Cantabro pills. TSR pills, your tensile strength pills, will need to be done in your first lot of production. Now, with your production testing for QC, you will have to do pull 1 APA rut testing sample per project. That's what we're doing this year. There's only 1 RT rut sample per project. Now, moving on to your QA, we are doing it every 4,000 tons. So every lot, the department is requiring a set of the BMD testings once per lot. The contractor will need to make 5 CT pills for the department, 3 CT pills for 5 CT pills for the department, and 3 Cantabro pills for the department. Like I said, APA is only done once per project, and that is for the department. You're welcome to pull as many as you want, but we only need 1 for the department per project. Please verify your air voids before you send in your specimen samples, just so that if there's any variance, we already know what was done and that it was compacted to spec, and if there was some type of damage on the way, that we know that it was done, and so that we can just move on and note that. Some of the things that we've seen with our pilot projects and some recommendations is start your rice first. Get that done so that you know when you're trying to move on to your next samples, you can use that rice to find out your weight for your pills that you need to compact for your IDCT. First thing you should do is do your 2 trial pills, or if you already know what weight is best, go ahead and start compacting those. They are the most susceptible to reheating. Then once you find out, what your weight is that yields the proper voids, go ahead and knock those out and make them. Then I would make, if you're doing your APA rut pills, make those next. Like I said, those 2 tests are most susceptible to reheat variability. And then I would make your Cantabro and your volumetric pills. Not as quite as variability in those when you make them. Some of the lessons learned is make sure you pull enough material out of the first sample that you're pulling. You know, if you need to pull extra bags, you need to pull extra buckets, boxes, however you transport that sample back to your lab, because you can't go back for more. Once it's gone, you basically have to start over. I would definitely suggest, if it's your first time doing it, you know, go ahead and pull those extra ones, so while you're trying to find the right weight for your pills, you don't run out of mix. Be prepared to run a second burn in rice, just in case the first one just doesn't make sense with your design. It could correlate back to something that happened in the plant, or you're pulling, or just be prepared to do that, especially, like you said, if it does not make sense. Be consistent when you're weighing up your loose mix, because when you're compacting such a small type pill, 5 grams can throw off a whole % void. So if you found what really works, make sure you're really consistent with that. Another suggestion is cooling racks. If you're trying to find out your voids really fast for those small CT pills, maybe get a rack that gets them off the surface, or cooling fans. Of course, fans are wonderful, so that you can go ahead and get those voids as fast as you can, so that you go ahead and get those other materials compacted. So our acceptance it will be in the required special provision for Section 211. If any performance test fails to meet the Table 1 of the special provision for BMD, the department may require production to stop until corrective action is taken. This is all new to us, so let's be open and honest and work together so that we all can figure out why these tests are failing. Because you know you turned in a design that works, so we need to see what's going on. The field density is still determined by 315. Nothing has changed there. It's not special. You know, please stick to your temperatures that are required. So price adjustments. A little bit has changed for the special provision here. So if a lot of material does not conform to Section 211, the department will determine adjustment points in accordance to Section 211.09 of the special provision, except for Section 6 of the BMD special provision. That is an adjustment system. If total adjustment points are 25 or less, and the contractor doesn't decide not to remove and replace, the unit price of material will be reduced by 3% for each adjustment points. Look at that, each, please look at that. So watch that. And then the engineer will also reduce the price of the unit price by 1% for each point applied for standard deviation. Now on the other side of that, the engineer will increase the bid price by 5% if all of the following criteria are met. The standard deviation of AC content is within 0 to 0.15, so that's the range. If there are no adjustment points assigned for any of the passives noted on Table 216, and if the average AC content of the project is no more than 0.2% above, no less than 0.10% below, and no more than 0.2% above the approved job mix, your design AC content. Now this is where you would go in if you need to after that, before that first lot ends, and do your Part B if you need to help follow in that criteria. There's still density bonus if the section that you're paving falls into the criteria. There's still a 5% increase for density. So initial production, it's still going to be subjected to Section 211.15. Basically, they usually put you on limited production to make sure that your field and your lab samples pass, because we're assuming this is the first time it ran through the plant. We're going off of results. So it still can be put at limited production. Work with your district on that. Communicate, open communication. If you're putting it down somewhere beforehand, give them a call. Let them know, hey, we're testing this out. We can pull a check sample. Definitely work with your district. so that when you're ready for that production day, you can either go open wide, especially if you have everything good to go. So our asphalt concrete BMD P+V optimized will be measured by tons and paid for to the contractor, the contract tonnage price. Your weigh sheets still need to be furnished for each load and delivered in accordance to 211, your TL127s. So if you can make sure you get that done, talk to your inspection staff or at your pre-construction meetings to know when and how they want those delivered. Thank you all for coming.